7 tips on how to teach public speaking to kids. Hi, I'm Craig and I'm a teacher here in Hong Kong. One thing that I've noticed from my students is their inability to express ideas to a crowd. They can't stand and deliver a message that's worth listening to. So what I have compiled are my tips that I use to teach public speaking. Now we all know public speaking is important, right? As we grow up, it can help us not only in job interviews and professional world, but also in public and private life too. It can help us be seen as a thought leader, and it can help us in so many other ways. So, tip number 1 is, when teaching kids public speaking, don't call it public speaking. And the reason why is, kids don't even understand what public speaking means. I mean, we should call it, drama. We should call it theater, right? We can call it having a conversation. We can call it role play. We can call it any one of these things that are more like a game, right? We should make it a game instead of teaching them, oh, you have to get up on stage and embarrass yourself in front of your 30 friends. Let's make it a game, something that they're going to want to keep doing. Tip number 2 is, for public speaking for kids, we need to do less studying and more practicing. Okay? Students in Hong Kong and around the world can study great speakers. You can study technique and the breakdown of how to give a good speech, or you can practice it. Put more emphasis on practicing, and that's what we need to do in Hong Kong. That's what we need to do for our students. That's because it's like riding a bike, right? You don't study how to ride a bike or to drive a car. You get in it with someone you trust, and you drive it around safely and slowly learn by little. Same thing with riding a bike, same thing with public speaking. These are things we need to teach kids at an early age. Awesome. Tip number 3 is use smaller groups. Now, if you have a class of 30 kids, you're going to have to break them in groups. And when I mean groups of 3, groups of 4. That's because when they're doing public speaking, they need to be talking to a small crowd. Because of course they're going to get embarrassed, they're going to make mistakes, right? They're going to fail, of course, but you do it in front of a couple students who are their friends, who they chose in their group, and it's much easier at that point. It's much easier for the kids to realize that this is something that I shouldn't stress out about. And they see usually good reactions. Tip number 4 is use fun impromptu games. Now, fun impromptu games meaning a game where kids have to think of something off the top of their head to speak about. They have to think of something to speak about with no preparation time. And it's usually a fun game where kids are bouncing words and making sentences together off the wall. But be careful when you do this. If you do it with students who aren't at that level yet of the game, then they can feel alienated. So be careful when doing this. But start with easy ones first, easy impromptu games, and then slowly work to the more difficult ones. Okay, tip number 5 is teach message before you teach technique. Now this is similar to tip number 2, but I want kids to know why they're giving a speech. Why is public speaking, important? And it's not just to relay facts. It is to get a message across. So we need to teach kids to have a message that's worth listening to. Have a message that they feel their heart is in it, and they believe in it, and they want to portray an important idea to others in order to make a difference. These are the reasons why great speakers continue to do what they do and over their entire lifetime. And if we want to do that, then we need to teach them to give a message that they believe in. Now, tip number 6 is give lots of positive feedback. Now, I already give kids a good amount of positive feedback when I'm doing essay classes or writing, but for public speaking you have to give double. And the reason why is because kids, they see the reactions you get from them speaking, you need to give them positive encouragement, because let's be honest, I mean, they're going to get tons of criticism their whole life. They're going to get tons of, failures and people that are insulting to them their whole life. If they're going to speak and show themselves to the world, they need positive encouragement at an early age, and even throughout their teens, I would say, throughout their teenage years. Give lots of it. And tip number 7 is use video. Do what I'm doing right now. If kids can watch themselves after they've done a speech and see the reactions of mom and dad as they watch on the phone, oh, look at me, I did so good. And then they can hear their voice. Do you remember the first time you heard your voice? It usually sounds weird or strange. But when kids hear it at a young age, they can not only get used to it, they can also help to adjust their voice. They're still children, after all. Their voice is malleable, so they could change. That's why we should use video in our lessons, public speaking. Let them watch it. It's fun to watch it and laugh at it afterwards. So those are my 7 tips on how to teach public speaking to kids.